Welcome back to Unscripted, everyone. Carwash.com's video interview series that connects you with market leaders. Joining me today on Unscripted, I'm happy to welcome in Jen Vanderveldt, CFO of Mammoth Holdings. Jen, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me. So wanted to catch up with you, Jen, to discuss your recent appointment at this growing car wash chain, Mammoth Holdings. Maybe discuss a little bit more about the future and the goals of the company here moving forward. But for those who might have missed the press release in late May, can you please explain a little bit more about your background, experience, and role here at Mammoth Holdings?
Absolutely, Rich. Thank you so much. And it's nice to be on the show today. My background, I'll get to in a moment. I joined Mammoth as the Chief Financial Officer, to your point, effective in the late May period. But before I get to my background, I'm just wanted to share how excited I am to work on another membership-based business model in partnership with a leader like Dave Hoffman and the rest of the leadership team we've built here at Mammoth. Honestly, as I've gotten to know the category over time, love the category, love the productivity of the four wall, especially for the conveyorized express tunnel business model. Great growth dynamics, great long-term secular tailwinds. And so it's just a great industry, and I'm really excited to be in the chair I'm in. Let me quickly address my background. Pure background, nearly 5 years as an investment banker early in my career. While there, I developed a strong analytical background, strategic thought process around the drivers and building blocks of corporate value creation with a sector focus on consumer and retail clients. Following my time at Wall Street, I've been a corporate executive at several different consumer brands I'm hoping you've heard of, Petco, Michaels, European Wax Center most recently. During my time at these companies, I've led corporate finance, I've led strategy and growth transformation, I've led consumer insights and data and analytics. I've also been a general manager over 2 business divisions, including the membership business model at Petco. And then finally, and most recently, I served as the Chief Financial Officer for European Wax Center, another subscription-first business model that successfully IPO'd last year. I guess what I would say to you, Rich, is I've developed a broad-based skill set and managerial toolkit, somewhat humbly stated. I think most folks who know me well would just describe me as a problem solver, a big dose of intellectual curiosity, typically about how things work, how they can and should perhaps work better. And I think that's why I feel privileged to have assumed a number of different but critically connected leadership positions over my tenure and background. And then the last thing I'll say, which I think is highly relevant for the conversation we're having today, I've been working on subscription and membership business models since 2017. And I really do see great similarities in Mammoth's business model with other great consumer branded companies. This includes Petco, its direct-to-consumer member model, and its four-wall service proposition, and then Wax, European Wax, and its subscription-first model. And I hope I'll be able to bring this perspective and toolkit to Mammoth and this industry.
All right, sounds good, and sounds like your experience is well suited for where this car wash market is going. And just on a personal note, yes, I have a 15-year-old Boston Terrier and an 8-year-old Black Labrador Retriever. So I've been to Petco a few thousand times over the years, and I'm at least familiar with the European Wax Center. So. You mentioned Dave Hoffman in your response there, and in addition to Dave and yourself, Mammoth has really added an accomplished management level team in recent years. When the group gets together, what is the vision for this chain here moving forward?
Sure. Well, I'll address Dave, but only for a nanosecond. I think the vision always starts with a great leader, and that leader's vision to execute to a vision, because you want to operationalize where you're going. And I've certainly said this before to members of our Mammoth executive leadership team, my close colleagues. I think Dave Hoffman's reputation, his leadership, management credentials, they speak for themselves. And I think if you simply Google his background from McDonald's or from Dunkin', you can easily see that he has a vision for real scale and sustainable growth. He's done it before. He's operated previously 11,000 Dunkin' stores. And so, our drive to 500 feels kind of walk in the park like, I hope, but, he's not afraid of meaningful growth. And so that's part of our current vision, our drive towards 500 units. And then, like you said, it's an entire team that goes and executes on behalf of and in partnership with a CEO. I believe long-term sustainable growth is not only achievable, but it's supported by meaningful structural growth dynamics in this industry that I'm sure you know well. The aging car park, I think the desire to keep older cars looking their best, that's a need state, I think, especially as your car ages. That whole rise of the do-it-for-me consumer shift. I know we are all time starved. I have 2 little kids at home, and I end up popping into my member-based car wash all the time on my trip home or my trip to work. And then even the municipal push towards car washing as a more environmentally friendly way of maintaining a clean vehicle. You couple that with large industry fragmentation, and then, the non-discretionary consumer need versus want, which I think will be especially important given the macro environment that some are certainly forecasting will be walking towards. So I think that would suggest to me that great long-term growth indicators, great secular tailwinds, somewhat defensive countercyclical positioning. So our vision for growth stays intact, even if market conditions were to meaningfully change. And against strong category growth, we really need and have what we think is a winning combination, a 3-pronged growth strategy to achieve our scale. And we've talked about it amongst ourselves. We've certainly talked about it in a line from a board perspective, but, a continuation of the M&A engine that Mammoth has developed. We're known for it. A more meaningful greenfield de novo strategy. And I think we're going to use that to densify and continue to moat ourselves off within target markets. And then the third leg of that growth stool goes all the way back to my prior experience, which is just an analytical framework to drive organic growth with our member customer base. As we densify in our markets, I believe there's a flywheel or network effect that can be achieved with our member customers. We've seen it in select markets where we've kind of reached that densification point. And I'm very excited to partner with our entire leadership team to achieve that vision. We are certainly all aligned around these growth levers.
Yeah, certainly an impressive mix, not only with you and Dave providing that outside look from other markets, but also folks like Gary Dennis who have well accomplished in the car wash market, right? Yes. So it's a good team there, or it's a great team, I should say. Sorry, your experience.
I absolutely think it's a great team.
So your experience, as you mentioned, Jen, involves taking a company public, right? Will such a move be necessary for Mammoth to reach its long-term goals and vision, do you think?
Sure. The way I'll answer that is that right now we are all so focused on building a great company. And I just articulated our drive to 500, our 3 growth levers that we're planning on pulling on to reach that goal. And that's really our focus over the short to medium term. I think broadly speaking, I've found that market positioning and capitalization of high growth businesses that have the kinds of long-term secular growth trends and strong management teams, which Mammoth has, I feel like the capitalization piece usually takes care of itself. And so for now, in my mind, it's about execution and making sure our management team is aligned around that.
All right. So maybe just to push it a little bit more on the going public question, from your experience in taking a company public, what key lessons did you learn that you might be able to apply here moving forward if that move is to be necessary for Mammoth in the future?
Sure. At this point in my career arc or my experience, so many lessons. I think the most relevant lesson right now when we think about execution is continuing to accelerate our growth engine and adding deeper analytics and data to accelerate that membership model. I hope that continues to be something in addition to the financial stewardship and management of the business day to day that I can add to the Mammoth team here as a skill set. Our M&A and de novo strategy, it will continue to deliver scale and compounding growth over time. But, from past lessons learned, I certainly know that building and maintaining that customer base, and I think maintenance or retention is the important call out, if you will. Here, it's equally impactful to the compounding growth model that we're building here. Membership, as you and I were talking about before the call, provides a very important opportunity to invert that relationship with the paying customer. It used to be, when I think about this, campaigns, promotions, clicks to get the conversion, to get the transaction. I think increasingly, though, it's going to be about uniquely understanding the individual needs of our segmented customer base. So when I think about their driving habits, their demographic profile, their behavior, and their propensity, for instance, to add on a family member to their membership, knowing that and effectively reaching out to them with the right message at the right moment in time will drive utilization of our membership. It will drive long-term retention of a Mammoth membership. And then, we really need to be building lifetime value with our customers that are members with Mammoth over the long term. It's not an episodic thing. It's a multi-year relationship that we are forming. And I know there's so many ways we can grow here. And so of my lessons learned, I'm most excited to apply this one to Mammoth and this industry.
Yeah, very interesting. That old saying is you can't manage what you can't measure, right? And
Correct.
Certainly car wash operators have the opportunity to get a lot more customer information than they did even 5 to 10 years ago. So they should be using this information to get to know the customer a little bit better, right? So let's talk about that growth strategy a little bit more for Mammoth Holdings, Jen. Now at just about 100 locations with a stated goal of 500 locations by 2025. What's it going to take to reach that goal? And do you envision being more dependent on acquisitions or, as you mentioned, new builds in the coming year?
Sure. I think the mix shift kind of rebalances a little bit. M&A productivity will continue on pace. I think it even becomes more standardized and operationalized to continue growing at scale. And I think members of this management team are focused on that standardization and that entire process of doing the right work from a pre-acquisition basis, being very focused on our value creation planning. It's part of, I believe, what makes us unique as operators. And so that will continue. I do think greenfields, to your point, we will accelerate there. We're building out a robust pipeline of new unit openings. I think we're focused on strategically making sure we're placing ourselves in markets where we do plan on densifying and taking share over time. And so that entire strategy has really come together nicely. And in my experience, building the pipeline is so critical to getting the right yield and annual growth targets around kind of greenfield delivery. And then finally, I'm going to sound like a broken record here in a second. Our membership business, it's run, we plan on running it analytically on a key ratio. Lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. And that's where we want to measure increasing value of our customer cohorts over time, those segmented cohorts, and really develop strategies that incentivize that long-term retention you and I spoke a little bit ago about. And so I think you put those three things together, and I think Dave knows and believes it's differentiated. I believe it's differentiated. And so we feel real good about where we're positioned and how we move forward.
All right, sounds good. About 500 locations by 2025. We look forward to tracking your progress here on carwash.com. Jen, thanks for taking some time to do the video interview with me today. Welcome to the industry and a belated congratulations on your appointment at Mammoth Holdings.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.